Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Moss, host of the SOS Shout Out Show, coming to you here on the day 8 of Ramadan. We're going to be talking a lot of things. We're going to talk about Jews 8, but you know that Saturdays we have our Saturday Spotlight. And I'm more than happy to announce that we have in the building Brother Zakariyya Abdur-Rahman, entrepreneur, Philadelphia's best man. He's a consummate good guy, if that makes any sense. And when I talk about a good guy in business, it means that he shares the wealth, he shares the information. You know, this is a proper time, particularly for the topic I'm going to talk about in the Jews, is really about understanding how we look at competition and how we look at barriers. So Brother Zach is a little bit of a misnomer in this regard because he built a very successful business, and then he built a people business. So he started a business and then he built a people business. And when I say people business, it means it's in the business of empowering people to allow them to see the potential of themselves and the potential of their environment. If you're lucky in your life, you'll be able to watch people grow and be able to do this. So I've watched this gentleman grow, but it's funny though. I've seen him grow in projects. And yeah, as a human being, he's a little bit older than me, not much. But in terms of leaving breadcrumbs, in terms of legacy statements, in terms of how you want people to live and how you want people to see themselves in their environments, which is increasingly you want to see people in the better aspects of themselves, looking and designing and more importantly, evolving community. So we're going to be talking about that brother here. He's in the building. And I promise, inshallah, I will be on the best etiquette of BBB, which is Be Brief, brother. We have some announcements. Again, we want to give a shout out to Islamic Relief for sponsoring this section. This is, and now let me say, we're fortunate that the month of April actually had 5 Saturdays, so we actually get 5 spotlights. But this one, brothers and sisters, I'm going to ask some questions from Brother Zach. I call him Big Z. You can call him Mr. Abdul-Rahman. I call him Big Z. So just so you guys know, I do know this man. He's family to me. So you don't be like, Preacher's very comfortable talking to this brother. I am, because I've known him for quite a number of years and an admirer. I am an admirer of this man and the way he's carried himself and the way he looks at community. So we're going to cover everything from how you put together the CDC, going all the way back to rap snacks. We're going to talk about all that stuff here on the Shout Out Show. Special note, shout out to Sister Nia Dixon. We hope that you're recovering from your surgery. A bit of bad news from the sports world. Brother Dwayne Haskins, a former quarterback for the Redskins, the Commanders, Redskins, the Pittsburgh Steelers, was killed this morning, and it was hit by a truck this morning down in Florida, ironically while they were training. So hearts and du'as go out to them. Want to give a shout out also to my crew, Isra Foundation over in Dallas, doing a wonderful job with the youth. Shout out to Mufti Wasim Khan, all the crew out there. We have some big news, extremely big news in regards to the St. Preacher Monster Prison Project. It's interesting. Allah sends you places and you just think you're telling jokes. And sometimes you're not telling jokes. Sometimes people see the truth and sincerity of what you're talking about, even more so than you do. And I'll parlay that into the conversation that we're about to get ready to have right now. So there's actually now going to be Islamic Relief video. I'm just going to shout you guys out. We appreciate you because that actually takes a little bit of time. And believe it or not, even though we were on for 5 to 6, the time actually goes really, really quickly when you're doing interviews and you're enjoying yourself. So without further ado, brothers and sisters, you got a commercial break. We do commercial breaks. This is why, because this is the time you can get up, go get your popcorn, go get your juice. Well, if you're fasting, just don't move. Just stay where you're going to be. And you can think about popcorn and juice. And we're going to be right back here momentarily. Shout out to the Shout Out Family Nation. And, of course, shout out soldiers. We got people in the building. We'll get ready to go. Let's roll.
We just need help.
Imagine if there wasn't an olive branch. Muslim Family Services at your command. The people who help people have to say, we need your donations, don't delay. We all have struggles from time to time, but leaders dedicated is what you find. Before another person sheds a tear, support Olive Branch, you don't have to fear. Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Action you can see, compassion you can feel. Sing it with me. Ooh. Ooh. All right, we're back. So listen, let me get my family out here on the shout out show. We need to introduce ourselves to Brother Zach. I want you to show the love and attention that you show me, that you show Satana, and the respect that we've always had for one another. He's a visitor to our platform. I am extremely happy to have him here. We weren't able to connect in Philadelphia with Kings of Comedy. That was one thing I was looking for more so than doing the performance, but just the fact that this man is extremely busy and he came out to support is huge for me. And he's always been a supporter of me in terms of my comedy and business life, personal life. So he's come to be somebody that I can lean on. So giving that background, brothers and sisters, we're going to go ahead and start. Who's in the box today? We got Mama. We got Mary Moss, better known as Mama Son. What's going on, Mom? How you doing? Shouting out to Ramadan Mubarak. You've been practicing that thing. Careful, Mom. You're gonna mess around and you're gonna Ramadan into a shahada. Be careful now. Be careful. Much love, and we appreciate you. Next up, well, we got Sister Ree. What's going on? Hello, family, to you. Hello to your family, Sister Ree. Shout out to you and Derek and Juan and everybody. Nice to have you back in the state. Hope everything's going well for you. You know, I got you with my duas. Much love. You know your brother's fasting. So, if you really want to get some blessings during this month, you ain't got to be Muslim. What you can do is you can make some of that macaroni and cheese and some of that salmon that you sent over when my oven was out, and all the angels gonna come down and bring mercy to you in buckaloads, but it's gonna look like hot sauce and send that over too. All right. Next up, my man Bala Salahuddin. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ramadan to you, brother. You and Sister Sonia Dalton. Salahuddin. The Salahuddins are representing. Much love, man. I got to tell you, I think you guys were a good luck charm. You and Brother Zach, I think you were good luck charms in this process. We're trying to teach returning citizens IT. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. I don't want to jinx myself, but we have some huge news upcoming. So, shout out to you, brother. Thanks so much for coming out and supporting us. We appreciate you. Next up, Altaf Rashid, our main man, Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down, all the way from Toronto, Canada. My main man, thank you so much for tuning in, because I'm getting ready to introduce you guys to a superstar. You know how we used to say with the shout out show, stars in the building? I have a star in the building. Now, Altaf, I want you to take notes and come up with some questions, because you're a businessman, and this is really a business format. We're getting ready to shift this thing to a business format. I do make jokes, you know that. But sometimes in the jokes, there's a little bit of education or just a lot of vision. So we're going to be talking a little bit about vision today. It's the first part of the interview. And the second part is, practical aspect, how you put business together. All right. And again, wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's right. Sister Reed, she's saying welcome. She's saying welcome, Brother Zach. Big Z. All right. Next up. Oh, you got some macaroni and cheese now? We're going to have to talk after the show. I can't talk about this while the sun is up. It's too much of a temptation. All right. And for Miss Laughter, our consultant producer, Sister Satana Whitfield, working the ones and twos, working the back end of this thing like a pro. Please don't leave us for CNN. Don't leave us for CNN. Don't leave us for ABC. Just hang in there, Sister Satana. We're going to get to the promised land with the shout out show. So here we're going to go, brothers and sisters. Let's get to the point of the matter. Every once in a while, when you're a creative and you learn this aspect of having business as a part of your creative nature, your endeavors, you'll run across a person who says, wait a minute, let me show you something different. When I say show you something different, I mean they have a bit of a blueprint, and the blueprint is very open, but it's meticulous in its details. it has the aspects in the DNA of a person's, I want to say, core values, whether it be religious, whether it be financial, but it has core values. And in Philadelphia, some years back, family matter, personal matter, wonderful, wonderful family matter. As a matter of fact, I ran into this guy I was introduced to, actually my sister Salima Rashid, and she keeps telling me about this man, and I'm like, okay, well, he sounds like big deal, da da da, and he rolls in, and where I think Zach is a little bit higher, taller than I am, not much, but when he opened his mouth, I said, damn, how old is this guy in terms of experience, not age, in terms of experience, because he starts telling me these principles that line up, I have a certain alignment. Remember we talked about Reginald Lewis, the guy who owned Beatrice, the billionaire. He wrote the book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? He starts talking, and it's almost like a song that he's written that reminds me of this whole scope. And it's a song that doesn't have a whole lot of cants in it. It's a song that doesn't have a whole lot of I don't knows or we ain't gonna make it. And the highlight of hanging out with Zach because we were in Philadelphia is we go to this warehouse, and we go to this warehouse, and he starts giving me the genealogy of everything in the warehouse. This is an extraordinary type of deal. When somebody can give you the genealogy of every type of business that they've been into, where it flowed, what worked, what didn't work, was being reframed. At one point, we go from that to almost like a banquet hall. I know I'm bringing up all this stuff. Zach's like, preacher remembers all that stuff. Yeah, and we actually go to a place at the time. It's called Masjidullah, and I'm like, looking at all of this. If you line it up, this is really in the course of not even 48 hours, and I'm literally going, man, does this dude even sleep? Because all I'm seeing is vision, 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 vision. So I thought it was really, really great to be able to bring him on the show today. When I put up the campaign for this IT to teach Salesforce to teach brothers, my second donor was my brother Zach. And this is through the Friday reminders, so that's a whole another different family. I have to get everybody on Friday reminders. Bilal Salahuddin, I need your and Altaf, I need your phone number so I can do this. Send it to permissiblelaughter@gmail. But I'm sitting here and I'm going, man, what drives this guy? And the moment I say what drives this guy, he goes, gotta pray. I gotta pray. And therein lies, I guess, if you will, the beauty of it. The beauty that you can have business, the beauty that you can be a good guy, the beauty, if you will, that, there's a vision to this whole thing, and it's legacy. It's legacy. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's welcome to the SOS, my brother, your brother, Zakariyya Abdur-Rahman. What's going on, beloved?
Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. Hey, man, you talking about pray and eat. Don't forget the word eat. I hope you was last a little longer, hour and a half. I go down and get some popcorn and some beverage.
Hold on, we got a little echo. Satan, is that on our end? Hold on, just a minute, Zach. We got a little echo. Satan, is that on our end? It's delay. Oh, just a minute, Zach. We got a little echo. Hold on a minute, Zach.
Yeah.
You just have one stream, right? Okay, this fixed right there. Hold on a minute, Zach.
Yeah.
You just have one stream, right? Hold on, man. Let me make sure I'm not doing something. This fixed right there. Hold on a minute, Zach. Yeah. We got to fix the. We have to fix the echo. I'm sorry. We got to fix the. We have to fix the echo. I'm sorry. Let me ask you. Stunner, do you hear that? Yeah. We have to fix the. Okay, let me see. Zach, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You don't have any other things on, just your computer, right?
I don't have any other thing other than the masters.
Zach, can you hear me?
I got you.
No volume on the
You don't have
off.
any other things on, just your computer.
Oh, so you can't hear me?
Other than the masters. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, Satan, I think it's that extra mobile.
Oh, so you can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, can you take it out? I'm just going to do the interview with Zach, and just come back in. So Zach, let's go ahead and get. All right.
I'm gonna do the interview with Zach, and just come back in.
So Zach, let's go ahead and get started. I don't know where this is coming from. We didn't have it in the workup. I don't know where it's coming from. Let me ask you a question, Zach.
I don't know where.
Born and raised in Philadelphia. Tell me about your youth in Philadelphia. What's it look like in terms of a young Zach, up to like 16 years old? Like what do you sing?
Philadelphia. What's it look like in terms of?
Well, you taking me way back.
Up to like 16 years old. Like
16.
What do you sing?
I'm a sophomore. You taking me way back. That's as fast as itching my throat. But I'm a sophomore. 16. And I'm a sophomore. Martin Luther King High. And East Germantown, Philadelphia. And this school was built not too far from my home where I was brought up at. And so we literally watched that school get built because it was built in a park. And this particular park I played in throughout my young adolescent years, you know, and we were very fortunate in Philadelphia to have a park area because most of Philadelphia is the concrete jungle. You know what I mean? You only get parks like in certain parts of the city, and most of the ghetto or the hood. There was, not that many parks. So we were fortunate to live right down the street from the park. And we watched this school get built in the park. And we watched this recreation center also get built in the park. So the school was ours as a young group of young people who took ownership of their corners.
Okay. Zach, let me hold. We're having just an audio problem. Let me get this worked out real quickly.
All right.
You're on your computer. You're not on your phone or anything like that.
Right. I'm checking my phone because I did look to try to find it, but it's off here now. But so it's not me. Right.
All right. No, let me see here. Hey, babies. Welcome to Radio WCUC, Convenient Urgent Care, home of the smart patient. This is DJ What It Do. You know what time it is. It's the top of the hour, and the request lines are open. You know what you want to hear? I know what you want to hear. Operators are waiting.
I just got to hear don't get the COVID.
Don't get the COVID. Put your mask back on. The Delta COVID, more contagious than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get the vaccine. You know that it can keep you safe, and your people living up in your space. Don't get the COVID. You need to wash your hands. The Delta COVID is more deadly than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get your vaccine. You know that it can keep you from dying. Don't leave your family all alone and crying. Don't get the COVID.
We invite you to join our fight against COVID and against misinformation. It's time to listen to the doctors and trust the science.
When I think of people dying that don't have to die, it makes me sad. Now's the time to be sober. Together we can make this thing over. Let's fight the COVID. Convenient urgent care, home of the smart patient.
Why would I do a CD called Confessions of a Muslim Comedian? And that was the idea of bringing entertainment to Muslims, for Muslims, about Muslims, but for everybody.
I got Dean in my life. Who is Dean? But you bring Dean around here.
You know how Muslims get you all hyped up? And he said, brother, you ready to be Muslim? I said, yeah. He said, you know what that means? I said, tell me, brother. He said, you ready to give up the swine? I said, yes, sir. I'm giving up the swine. He said, are you ready to give up the alcohol? I said, yes, sir. I'm ready to give up the alcohol. He said, you ready to give up the women? I said, yes, sir. I'm ready to give up the alcohol.
All right. So we're back. We're new and improved. I think we have everything solved. Let's go ahead and bring in Brother Zakariyya. Zach.
Yes, sir.
Oh!
Oh.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. We're good, man. Hey, listen. I gotta ask you. I asked you, what's the young Zach look like in Philadelphia? What part of Philadelphia? Because it's like when you're in New York. What part of New York? What part of Philadelphia? Is it West Philadelphia? Is it North Philadelphia?
Actually, it's West Oak Lane. There's no East Philadelphia. So geographically, that's a very good question. A lot of people don't know that. You know, the east side of Philadelphia was where Germantown, where the German Jews and the Quakers were.
Mm-hmm.
Very reserved area. Goes all the way back to the Revolution days. And so, but that's where we were. It was a melting pot. That's where I came up at, you know, at the right old age of 6 years old. My father and parents moved from North Philadelphia to West Oak Lane, which is, you know, as I said, the east side of Philadelphia. And this was a melting pot. So we had on this block everybody. We had Chinese. We had a Japanese family on the block. We had Italians. We had the Jews on the corner store. We were eating kosher. So that was the 60s. And, you know, and then I said that we were fortunate. We had grass on the block. You know what I mean?
That is, hey, if you had two blades of grass, you were suburban.
And, you know, we didn't learn, you know, the symbolism of our makeup as being that blade of grass. But we had grass, so we had a park right up the street. You know what I mean? And that was you know, one of the amenities that you can't even add that value to that. You know, so the park was our backyard. We stayed in the park. I mean, we did so many things in the park. We built tree houses. You know, there was a swamp. We built boats.
You said you were 16. Were you into sports?
Now that was growing up. Now, by the time I get to be a young, a young thug, so to speak, or a young man.
Yes, sir.
So that now we took ownership of our areas, and
Mm-hmm.
and so that was like, you know, a pride thing. Then it was, you know, we were a group of young men. And we were taught by some revolutionary. They were literally Black Panthers. They were called the East Side Inc. Chapter of the Black Panthers. And they taught us this whole thing about ownership and what you do to be like the pillar to your community as a man, that you needed to be the caretaker, the provider, the protector, all these things. And we learned this. And then, of course, there were other elements going on, you know, and of course you had also the movement of the Nation of Islam going on. So at 16, all of that was compounded. All that was compounded with a geographic area that was a mixed area that eventually turned to 99% Black, you know, from the white flight, and the development there. They built the school MLK, which was one of the biggest developments that I witnessed. I witnessed from ground to development.
This is when it took 2-3 years, like 3-4 years to build something.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I literally saw that. I saw them remove the swamp, and I saw them, put the foundation in. And I saw them, all of that. And it never dawned on me, that I would be doing that. But it was fascinating to see that transformation right there up the street from me. So
is it safe to say that in some regards, is this a little bit of a bedrock for how you see community development? Because I see you, we've had these conversations before. The audience, the viewers may not be privy to them, but they can tell just from the outer shell that's like, this has so much to do with, and you talked about it, developing projects that give you a certain type of mobility in your business space and outside of your business space.
Absolutely. That the impact was really beautiful in a traumatic way. To see, that dust to industry type event happened right in my in my development and my growth from a young man to manhood. So it definitely was an impact, because I come from a family that was business oriented, for one, and that was a blessing. That was a blessing. I had a father in the house, and I had an uncle that was right across the street, the brother to my father, and they owned gas stations and what we call lounges, bars at that time.
They still call them lounges and bars.
No, they call it takeouts in Philadelphia now.
Oh, okay.
You don't hardly have them anymore. But and so I come from a middle class family, and I developed a work ethic at a very early age. So and that was something that our teacher taught us, Imam W. He said, what we missing as a people right now is a work ethic. Mm-hmm. And I look at that because when I look at my upbringing, wasn't too many people on that block, blacks that is, after the Jews left, the Italians left, the Chinese left. Wasn't too many people in ownership. They didn't own anything. They were working people. They worked for the city and transportation. And
so it's an income environment. It wasn't a wealth management environment.
Wasn't wealth management.
Where you building wealth. It's right. Like this is where you spend your check.
Right. Just exactly. Working a 40-hour week, check to check, no wealth management, none of that. You know what I mean? But you could look at some of the wealth management piece, because out of the 99% of the African Americans that were populating this area, at that time, over 80% were homeowners. And so the first level of management, wealth management, is home ownership.
Now I think you need to expand on that piece about home ownership. I don't think a lot of people really understand that about aspects of Philadelphia.
Right. And Philadelphia still, with gentrification in place, still has a great percentage of African American home ownership, but they don't know how to leverage it. And that's where the whole piece with I forget the term, where these individuals come in and take advantage of homeowners by giving them less than value of their property. I forget the term, escapes me, but it'll come to me in a minute.
It's definitely predatory.
Yeah, predatory lending. And so, and takes advantage of that the wealth management piece within our community with first, second generation homeowners now having to, leave it, or to third generation who don't even know the value in it at all, because all they ever did was lived in it and not even contributed to it in a way. You know what I mean?
But let me ask you this, brothers. Let me ask you this. So you're 16, you graduate. Do you go into the service right after you graduate, or?
I did. I went into the service prior to me going to the School of Hard Knocks.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So, that was the natural progressive direction for me. It was U.S. Armed Forces. I had that kind of disciplined family background. I had individuals invest in me from a civilized perspective, even with the Black Panther Party, the nation, putting that, instilling in us what a man should be, the responsibility of a man. So I went into the U.S. Armed Forces to kind of escape.
So which branch did you go into? I'm just
The Army.
You did the Army? Okay. I did military school. I did Army Junior ROTC. So
yeah, I went in the Army for 8 years, and I traveled, Europe, Asia. I touched down, and some. So it gave me a broader view of culture and geography and all that kind of stuff, and I learned some of that stuff in my household. So that was that. I wasn't afraid of nobody. So, by being in business and serving people, so that was a natural progression. The service, and it taught me, discipline. You ever see that commercial where they jump out of the airborne ranger jumps out of the helicopter?
Absolutely.
Into the corporate.
That was you. That was you.
Only I wasn't an airborne ranger, because we learned from in the on the corners in the street, you had to be crazy to jump out of an airplane. That was one of our sayings, like if you did something crazy, you jumped out of an airplane.
But what is the you come out of service or school hard knocks, we're gonna go through it one way or another. Okay, so what's this thing? Because a lot of people just don't come out of it. A lot of people don't have the work ethic or the clarity to be able to make that shift fundamentally. Because you're talking about several periods in your life. You're talking about when you're young, the school bill. You're talking about the Panthers. You're talking about the Nation of Islam. You're talking about Imam Muhammad. This is an incredible period, literally in like 10 years. That you're talking about, and you're throwing out you did 8 years in the service. You come home. Jack comes home in Philadelphia. He says, I got an idea. You stand in the middle of where you're going to be doing your work, and you look out at Philadelphia. What are you seeing? What business vision are you seeing? Paint the portrait for us.
I'm seeing really I'm seeing two things: opportunity, and I'm seeing an underserved market, meaning my own people, because as I said, I grew up and I saw the Chinese have Chinese stores and cleaners. I saw the Jews have the corner stores, and I saw the Italians with the pizzerias and all this stuff, and of course we own gas stations and some corner stores, so I saw opportunity. And then I saw, when I came home, the underserved market, because we had went away from it. We had went away from the pursuit of industry, and so I'm like, yo, there's a void here, and so my goal and my understanding of one of my favorite teachers and artists and orators and icons is Malcolm X. One of the things he said was that in order for you to have ownership in a community, you need to be the one that provides the services to that community. Sanctuary services. You don't even meet, and those sanctuary services, were, the things like, your corner store, your shoe shop, your flower shop, your gas station, all of these things, there was a time where, the insurance man would come to our house, doctors even, in the 60s, so barbershops, salons. So we went away from that ownership and servicing of our community. And it kind of like narrowed, the playing field down to just certain ventures, so to speak. We wasn't enterprise minds anymore for some reason.
Well, let me ask you this, and I asked you that question. I think one of the most fascinating things, which is probably a whole nother show. You really need to teach a course about this. Tell me, whatever condensed version you can do. Tell me about Z&Z distribution.
Well, yeah. So I come home in '88, and situation. So in 1990, I met a brother, Samir Muhammad,
Okay.
at Master Law, brother who took me under his wing. He had a distribution company, ALM, and he kind of titled it after the letters in the Quran, and but they were individuals, and he put it that way. And so, he started me as a salesman in the bean pies, right?
Okay, bro. All right, I got it. Let me shift my chair. Okay, please continue.
So me having background in sales, in my whole repertoire of development. The bean pies were only he manufactured them. He was the baker, but he didn't have placement nor distribution. And I knew about distribution and placement, so I came in as a salesman. And I had the opportunity to take this product and place this product in the retail market and scale it. And I did that. So when I did that, I said, well, that was a lead product. So other products needed to be, because the customers said, what else you got?
Right.
And then symbolically, I started with water, thinking about Zamzam. And that was an experience because the brother didn't want to scale his business up to the extent where I'm like, and I rose to become the vice president, from a salesman to the vice president of sales. And I'm telling him, so I made Hajj. And when I made Hajj in '94, I came back, I made, dua on Arafat to say that I want to do this scaling and I need a location. So I came back and '94 and located that building that you happened to visit and talked about earlier of the show, a whole corner block, a whole city block in the city of Philadelphia, and eventually me and my family purchased that property to scale up distribution, and from the bean pie, develop a product inventory that would be that would help the warehouse grow. And our focus was, of course, halal products, because we had opportunity to do any other things that were not halal, but that was our focus. And then there was the focus on wealth management, as you relayed earlier, and so I named Z and Z after my two boys because I wanted them to take over this business and become like the how they say America's built on father and son. The Fords, the Purdue's, the Kennedys, the Rockefellers.
Very true. Very true.
We can keep going on and on. It's built on father and son, and Imam taught us that as well. So with our development, and so I named the property after my sons, the distribution after my sons, and hope that they would scale up. And then I looked at the logo. And I used the logo not only because I understood it on the Muhammad Speaks. Again, I go back to Malcolm as he produced it with hands across the Atlanta, the African brother and the African American brother, hands across the Atlanta. And so that was like, if you saw that big mural on my building, and I taught my sons that, and I said that we have to make that connection. But the only way you can make that connection is with product, because the nation showed us that with the Whitey Fish program, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and it showed us that we can import from these countries and distribute in our geography, and then we needed to produce something to export. We never got really to the export piece because, So I saw all that, and I was, and I'm saying to myself, distribution, Z and Z, my sons, growth, wealth management, the whole nine.
I mean, a lot of people don't know you have the license to do rap snacks in the city of Philadelphia. I think you potentially only one that actually has that license to do rap snacks with the pictures of the rap stars on them and things like that. So like when you see that kind of vision, it's almost like an outlaw kind of effort, because there's so many people that will get those licenses or distribution rights and they don't look like us. Yet they feel as though they have a responsibility and in some regards a little entitlement to come into our communities and develop these things. Now, you already have Z and Z. You're up and going. You've told us this stuff. At what point in time do you wake up and go, I want to start a CDC?
Well,
at what point do you go, my life is not complicated enough. I don't get enough sleep. I don't want any more sleep. I'm going to do a CDC and I'm going to call it Nicetown. I'll shut up. You let us know. Talk to us.
1996. Imam W. Muhammad with the Muslim Convention going all over the country. We followed that. We followed that convention everywhere during the tenure of Imam W. Muhammad. So we vended there, and there was a big, opportunity in terms of us creating wealth for ourselves. And so in 1996 in New Rochelle, New York, the Imam in his public address, he says that the highest achievement in life is community life, community development, and then he analyzed it to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam building Medina and Medina becoming the city of light, and so he correlated that with everything in our communities, especially in the United States, where the colonialists came over and named everything new. New York, New Hampshire, and all these.
New Jersey, New Mexico.
So you get it. And so I'm like, okay, community life. So, and there was another aspect. I'm blessed to buy this property in the hood. On a major corridor, but everything around it was dilapidated and abandoned, and so a folk that I dealt with in business, even government people, said, look, you took a property and you increased its equity and its value, but everything around you is like a death pool, a desert situation. And so, and why don't you, look at trying to develop around you? So there was a preacher by the name of Reverend Williams who was right across the street from me. He pastor of a church called New Inspiration. And he also came. He said, "Look, Zach, I'll get behind you and mobilize these people if you take the helm and because and that was a law. That was a God sending like an angel to say, look, you want to have the support of the community. Won't you try this?" Now I'm getting like two signals here, government signals and signals to say you can do this as a businessman, because I made those inroads as a businessman with all kinds of city agencies, because some of government funding is some of the best funding, the lowest percentage of.
Yeah, because I have to comment, man. You have a very good relationship with the city and the projects that you're able to choose and execute on. Nicetown 1. For those who don't know, these are affordable housing expressions that are out in Germantown. And I think that the interesting thing is, you're able to take that and parlay it into people being able to have really financial and career mobility, that you're able to put people in places to keep this thing going.
Absolutely. Capacity is critical. No man is an island. And, our beloved Prophet Sallallahu had the Sahabas. So no, you can't win a war alone. And our streets are literally at war. We look at all the other situations in the world today, but we have to come to some kind of reality. Know that we're in we call it a ongoing war. But yes, you have to build capacity, and you definitely can do it. So I was fortunate enough to have my family, my wives, of course, my mother and father, support me in terms of finance, because if folk don't know, our people got money, and if my parents put their house up to leverage.
Right.
Supporting
that dream.
Right, supporting that dream. The first property we bought was bought for us refinancing my parents' house, which I paid back like that. You know what I mean? Because I know how important that was. That was the foundation. So you have to secure that, and so that's where wealth management starts in home ownership. But when you look at the other leveraging areas, we had these relationships with financial institutions, government agencies, angel investors, the whole nine, and also manpower in terms of the buy-in from community.
That's a really important aspect. the CDC, if anyone wants to do the research, please look up Nicetown CDC
.org.
.org. I think the interesting thing is that you've taken it from residential, you've taken it to building commercial space, but I think that the interesting thing is that you've found a really, really workable formula about how you talk to people about capacity. So it's like when I'm looking at the guys that are doing the lawn, they have a landscaping company, and every time you seem like you're rolling over capacity to make sure everybody's in a lane. It's almost like Toyota. Every 5 years they move management around at Toyota. You just don't get comfortable. It's funny, while you're the CEO and president of Nicetown, I see you continually, really within a 5-year period, always moving to a different project. Right. And I think it's interesting because we don't do that enough. We deal with capacity on a daily level, but we haven't really necessarily mastered the scope of understanding this is why we do X, Y, and Z. Where it's not accidental. This is a disciplined approach to what we're doing.
Right.
So one of the things I do love, two things. You have a project called The Give Back. And if anybody, please, we're going to put some information up about the Give Back. You saw some of it. But the Give Back is really a communal agreement. Anyway, scholars, and this is really a revelation in terms of it's a creedal statement. You have expressed to people, follow me in some regards, hear my core values, and as a part of following these core values, this is what's in return. The give back is almost like this is your baraka, and we don't want anything, and it just continually just gives back to people. The bus tours that you do to HBCUs, and we must talk about the scholarship. I can't believe our time is already, we're at 50 some minutes. People, I'm sorry, we might not be able to do Jews 8 today. I have to do it tomorrow because I'm talking to my brother right now. But, the scholarship, the ZAR scholarship, please talk to us about that because it seems like it really rose out of that.
Absolutely. So, 20 years it'll be this year because we count COVID and it's a 2-year lapse. But, the festival started with us wanting to, again, like you mentioned, give back to the community and make the community, have a buy-in and feel good about themselves. And we also highlighted during this festival with educating them and giving them entertainment and activities was to really make them feel good about themselves. So we in terms of our awards, we would award our block captains, we would award some of our civic activists, our business partners, the strategic alliances that we've had. And so that was, a culminated effort to just put spotlight on Nicetown and the residents of Nicetown, the business people of Nicetown, the educators of Nicetown. We say live, work, play in Nicetown. So that was the motivation.
It's a cultural statement.
It's a
very, very strong cultural statement.
And then we developed the ZAR because unfortunately, a law called back my oldest son, who actually was, as I said,
may Allah be pleased with him.
Yeah, may Allah be pleased with him. I taught both my boys to be entrepreneurial, to be Khalifas of their community, and so they were there with me to start. Not only they were there with me as little boys to start Nicetown, door to door. When I had to go door to door, just like a politician, to 1,000 blocks with 50 homes on a block. We did that, and so my sons literally, watched it, and where my I'm an executive producer of the event. My sons were co-executive producers, so they had the understanding of how to take something, fund it, and produce it, and share it, and allow it to be an economic center.
That has to be overwhelming, man. Just as a father watching that. I mean, as a business person, yes, but as a father, that's a different take on just a spiritual connection with your kids, man.
Yeah. So you can see their involvement on some of our sites. But so the award, I'm gonna speed up the ZAR award because
take your time.
Okay, when my oldest son transitioned, we added an element to the give back. It was the 10th year that he transitioned, and he was, again, my logistical manager and everything to help at the ripe old age of 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, till he transitioned at 19. This young person was literally right beside his father producing this event and running a distribution company. So he transitioned, so we started the ZAR Awards on his behalf, and my youngest son became the executive director of that philanthropy of that ZAR Award, and you can see, and so he took ownership of that for his brother because he wanted to pay homage to his older brother, and he really took the leadership and giving him those his peers the opportunity of giving them money to go to school. Now, some of the things, and I really want to, I don't want to, say, as a disciplinary general father, that I deprived my sons the opportunity of pursuing secondary education. They went to community college, but they, I didn't have the opportunity until the actual awards to really hit campuses of historical Black colleges. And I said to myself, wow. So my youngest son was privy to go to one of those tours, and he really embraced it, but he felt the responsibility to stay at home in community college and run the family business.
That's not, and people. I want people to understand is there's nothing wrong with that. People grow. I don't think we talk about that enough. The power of family business. These institutions are here, but when you have the opportunity to grow a business, it's a totally different experience. Please continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Jawanza Kunjufu said in Black Economics, he wrote this book in 1990, and this book is like the Bible for Black economics. He said that, you can get all the education that you want in the world and go work for corporate America. And when you retire, only thing you're going to get is a gold watch, Apple, what have you. But if you help a family business grow to its apex, then you have the opportunity of transitioning that business to your offspring. And that's wealth management. That's generational wealth. And we understood that, and
very early, obviously.
At very early, yeah. And that's what we were really doing with our son and our sons, and still doing with our grandson and my grandsons. And in the hopes that that legacy will continue, but we're also teaching it, because the tours is now in a way, and I love it because it's my little woosah when I'm like the grand chaperone of the tour. I'm like the undercover boss. They don't even know that I'm the major sponsor. I go undercover. And I'm a
you driving the bus, Zach?
No, I'm a chaperone with the
Sit down in the back.
right, and we experienced those, and we can see how we came out of the emancipation into industry in that one generation span, and built 200 colleges, over 100 cities, and you name it, from 1871 to 1921, when the burning down of Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. That generational period, there hasn't been one to
haven't been close.
Matched it.
Yeah, it hasn't been close. Even we have Black billionaires, but we're not even close. If you take and scale what you're talking and put it in real time, that period, if you will, of wealth, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Durham, all that stuff. I'm like, they're way ahead of their times, man. They're way ahead of their time.
Way ahead of their time. They were hungry, as they say.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because we were talking about it on the show as part of a Jews. It was interesting because when people really, really fear you is when they see that you have value, and they're more prone to work with you on a value conversation as opposed to an oppression conversation.
Absolutely.
And I want everybody to know that oppression happens in finance, not just politics.
That's
it happens
right.
in finance. So, man, this is good. I want you to hold on just a minute. I'm going to say something about Jews 8 real briefly. One of the things that's in Jews 8, and it ties into this conversation, which is why I really wanted Brother Zach to be on, is that you're going to have opportunities in our community, in our religion, in our faith tradition. You've had prophets that come through time and time and time and time again, and they're rejected. Now, we talk about our prophets being bearers of good news and warners. You know what? But we are in that space very much communicators of one another. Not prophets, but definitely bearers of good news and information. if you listen to the interview that we're talking about, Zach is in that space of sort of like a prophetic succession. We all do this if we're lucky. And if we're not lucky enough to do it, then you know what? Then we need to support the people who are doing it. In business and life and faith and things like that, there's a quadrant, if you will, that says that belief is hard work. An ethical understanding of who we are, what we do, and how we apply this to one another is not necessarily our own success, but more so it is an overall picture of how we do this. All right. Did Zach zip out?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, yeah. Let's bring Zach back in. We'll take that overlay back off. So Zach, let's go full swing. Thank you, Zach, bro. Man, much love to you. We're running over an hour. I don't care. I hope you don't mind, brother. And I want to apologize if I'm not being selfish with your time. I just feel like this is something that needs to get out to everybody. We got some people in the shout out, brother Eric Carter, wa alaikum assalam, and brother JT, wa alaikum assalam, Ramadan to both of you brothers. But Zach, if you have one word that you can tell our folks before we get out of here, just one thought. What's it going to be? And we're going to sign off on that.
This is a thought. Yeah, Imam Muhammad said in 85 when he took over from his father. He said that, in order for us to build the community life that, and this was the 10th year anniversary in terms of progression, we hadn't even reached the full generational cycle yet in terms of 4 years. He said that if we, our leaders, our spiritual leaders and our business leaders, if we can come together and have a mutual understanding, like an MOU, that look, as we say in the street, you stay in your lane and I'll stay in my lane, and we respect each other and we support each other and we promote each other, and you'll see us be able to build community. Now, every imam is not a businessman, and every businessman should not want to be a spiritual man. I don't. I shouldn't have been. My last piece, though, is about my boys, about the legacy. If you can put up the memorial, the Czar Memorial Scholarship piece, and show the folk how they can tap into that and help us be able to educate our young people, and show them by way of example, not no lips service stuff, by way of example, how we can empower us as a people. Allah tells us that you will be tested with loss of life, loss of wealth, loss of, even your mind sometimes.
I mean,
but the fact that, you're together and you share these experiences with each other is how you're going to grow. And so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Hey man, love you, Art. Appreciate you, man. And stay tuned. I'm gonna call you in about 10 minutes, man, just to say thank you personally. Listen, that's our show. I want to give a thank you to Brother Zach for coming on, just sharing that knowledge. Everybody that was in the queue today that came on, gave their comments. Thank you. If I haven't thanked you before, thank you. And shout out to Sister Tana, who was working her magic in the back. It was fun because she was experimenting. She was doing a preach moss and being creative all over the space. And I enjoyed it. Good job, Sister Tana. Every once in a while, I got to push you out there, and you push yourself out there. So alhamdulillah for that. Another shout out to Islamic Relief for supporting Ramadan 30 for 30. And I said also du'as for Brother Dwayne Haskins and du'as for Sister Nia. Sister Nia Dixon for her recovery. Listen, this has been our show. We appreciate it. This is a shout out show. Inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Well, family, that's it for our show today. One of the reasons I felt compelled to make this video, because I noticed when an event is over, Muslims don't know when to leave. So if you're sitting there in front of your television going, that was fun, that was enjoyable, what do I do now? This is me telling you to leave. You know why?
because the show is over. I already left. I taped this before I made it. So you have permission to leave. And you also have permission to come back. To the Shout Out Show, we are Monday through Thursday. Again, that's 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Central, and of course on the West Coast, 3 o'clock. So we want to thank you for coming on the show, my brothers and sisters. And guess what? This is yet another exercise for you to leave, because I'm out of here. Later.